Hi, everybody. It's Pat from the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast, the current Deep Six Predictions champion. Obviously, this is a bit of a different intro. You're more, if you've listened to us before, you're used to hearing like a song or something before we hop in. But due in part to the fact that I've lost our Deep Six Predictions challenge for Revolution, for the next little bit, you'll be hearing my voice opening these shows with cover songs chosen by the rest of the group. And so that's what this is. Just wanted to hop in and let everybody know what you're about to expect, or not what to expect, but what you're going to hear in your ears. So without further ado, here's whatever song I'm singing this week. Your sex life is not swell. You're horny, I can tell. You should just take a ride on my cock. Your future's very clear now. Just get down on your knees now and let me put my penis in your mouth. Beauty school slut, no masturbation days for you, beauty school slut. Bring all your friends, I'll fuck them too. Well, at least you could just spread your legs and maybe take your clothes off. After spending all this time in heaven, I just need to get off. Baby, get moving. Lick on my balls and get me hard. What are you doing? You've got to open up your mouth. Now I've called the shots. Get on my cock. I've really gotta come. Gonna come inside you now. Spread 'em. Don't be shy. Beauty school slut, down on your knees. Beauty school slut, down on your knees. Beauty school slut, down on your knees. Well, with that being said, that is the grand finale. Of course, if you're listening to other podcasts from us, you'll probably hear this all on the week that this is going. But for now, you can always skip over those on future episodes. Anyways, that's the last song I have to do. So if you're tuning into multiple episodes this week, since this is going to be the grand finale, then, I'm sorry. But that was Beauty School Slut from the Grease Porn parody. Anyway, now on with the regular podcast. Welcome back to another edition of our weekly AEW reviews here at the Deep Six Wrestling Podcast. It's Wednesday. You know what that means. We're back once again. So thank you for joining us. If you're new here, consider subscribing to the podcast wherever you're listening to, whether it be Anchor, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Apple, Overcast, whatever. It's free. It helps us out. It helps us put more content out. It shows us that you guys like what you're hearing, so be sure to do that. You can also follow us over on Twitter, at Deep Six Wrestling, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, which we have started actually posting the podcast to, so if you're listening to this on YouTube, be sure to leave a comment on the video. Tell us your thoughts on whatever show we're reviewing, whether it's AEW, Impact, WWE, New Japan, whatever. That helps us out. And if you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, you can go over there. You can check out our podcast that we have up over there, as well as all of our punishment videos for our predictions challenge that we do for pay-per-views. And I think that's about it. We have a Facebook page. You don't really need to check it out. I don't know the last time we posted on it because, let's be honest, Facebook's dead. It's another solo show. Last week we were off. We took a 1-week break just because me and Joey weren't feeling it. So It's just me. Joey has said he will be back next week, so hopefully me and Joey are both back for next week's edition of AEW Dynamite, and of course I'm sure me and him and maybe Ryan or Angela will be around for Blood and Guts in 2 weeks. So that's what's going on here. Ryan and Angela's Impact Power Hour will be back tomorrow as per the normal now, with Impact moving to Thursdays. And I think tomorrow's show we're also going to be doing predictions for Rebellion, which is this Sunday. So me, Joey, Angela, and Ryan all might be on that show, or some combination of the four of us will be on that podcast tomorrow. And then this Sunday we will also have a review for Impact Rebellion, which, again, is Impact's big pay-per-view headlined by Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann for the champion versus champion match, Impact World Champ versus AEW World Champ, where both titles are on the line, so winner takes all. And, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all of the pre-Dynamite news we need to talk about. I haven't been on the podcast since the big WWE releases last week, so it'd feel kind of weird not to mention that, because that's obviously the biggest news in wrestling currently. Shocked by some of them, not shocked by others, like Tucker getting released, and Kalisto, really not too big of shockers, just because I couldn't tell you the last thing Tucker did besides turning on Otis. He seems to be very outspoken on Twitter, so I'm interested to see what Tucker is going to be like outside of WWE. He has an amateur wrestling background, so we could see more of him. I don't know where I would see him popping up, but maybe like a MLW or something, or like Ring of Honor, or just the Indies maybe. Billy Kay and Peyton Royce are the big ones for me personally. I love the Iconics since NXT. Their shtick is just hilarious, and they're two of genuinely probably the funniest people in wrestling. So it hurts to see what happened to them in WWE after winning the women's tag titles, and I don't know if they're still the longest reigning champs. Bayley and Sasha might have had it, or longer so. But regardless, their reign was obviously hurt by just WWE not booking them to do anything, which is a shame. And then they obviously split them up. They put Payton in a tag team with Lacey Evans, and Billy got sent to SmackDown and was getting over by her own. And now she's released. I would be happy seeing them anywhere. I think they'd be a great asset to Impact's Knockout division, especially with them having the women's tag titles over there. And I feel like they're in need of some new faces, as well as like genuine women's tag teams for their divisions. So that'd be cool. I think they'd be a great addition to AEW's women's division. Less so for their in-ring skills, but more for their character work, because AEW's started to get some really good like in-ring performers, like in Britt Baker, who's like dually talented with character and ring work. Shida's great in ring. Ty Conti's great in ring. Thunder Rosa's great in ring. And I think they could use some more good like characters, which you get with the Iconics. So I'd really be happy to see them go anywhere, to be honest. I think that they both have quite a bit potential that they could tap into. Mickie James, I think, would also be a great addition to either Impact or AEW. I think AEW would make a very smart play to obviously try and sign her with her veteran status. I think she would instantly bring some... I don't even want to say, like... what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say that she would bring like her own, like she would raise the level of authenticity in the women's division, because AEW on their own have done some really great job, or have done a really great job overall the last like 6 months improving their women's division. But adding a Mickie James, I think, helps like strengthen that in the same way that adding a Serena Deeb did. I think having those two as your two vets that can like be veterans that challenge for the title against younger people, as well as helping grow your younger stars like a Ty Conti or an Anna Jay. Having two veterans like that around for their own influence on younger female talents, as well as just being like coaches and like in-ring performers, I think could be very valuable. And again, Mickie James obviously had a big run in Impact as well, back when it was TNA. So of course I could see her potentially going back there. NWA would also be a potential place for her, obviously, because she's married to Nick Aldis, who's still currently NWA champion. So that's obviously a potential place. And then the biggest one, the biggest what if I think here is Samoa Joe. What if in terms of how healthy is he? Can he still go? Does he want to be full-time, part-time? What's the deal? I think every wrestling company is going to try and make a play for Joe. I think you'll see well, we probably won't see, obviously, because we're not the people making him deals, but I think very likely pretty much every major wrestling company not named WWE would try and make a play for Joe. I could see him ending up in New Japan if he's healthy enough. ROH obviously has history there. I don't really see him ever going to MLW, but you never know. Impact obviously would want him back. AEW would be insane to not want Joe for both in-ring and potential future commentary work. I don't really know where I would want to see Joe. If he's like genuinely like as healthy as he can be, Samoa Joe in New Japan would be absolutely wild. There's so many people I would want to see him wrestle there. A Samoa Joe like G1 run would be insane. I also think there's a bunch of people in AEW I would love to see him work with, like a Powerhouse Hobbs, Kenny Omega. Man, there's Adam Page, Brian Cage, Lance Archer. There's a number of people, both of the Lucha Brothers. I think that Samoa Joe could have some great matches in AEW as well. So I'll be interested to see where he goes, to be honest. But yeah, not Bo Dallas. Bo Dallas also got released. I don't know if I expect to see Bo Dallas anywhere. But Billy Kay, Payton Royce, Mickie James, and Samoa Joe are the big ones to look out for, especially to see where they end up landing. So you hate to see people losing their jobs, but it's pretty safe to assume that they will bounce back just because of who they are and how talented they are. Moving right along into tonight's AEW show. It's just me tonight here, so it's pretty safe to assume this will be a shorter podcast episode than our normal, like 45 minutes to an hour episodes. So, opening the show, we had Adam Page versus Ricky Starks, both on big winning streaks, and Page as the number one ranked person in the men's division. I thought this was a really solid match. Page has kind of made a name for himself as like a really strong opener for Dynamite whenever they put him on. And Ricky Starks is always really impressive. The big thing here was there was a very scary move here later on where Page went for some type of suplex and Ricky like tried to land on his feet but landed like on his neck while on his feet. He looked like he was like in a full ball position and it looked brutal, but he got up and kept wrestling. I know PW Insiders put out, or it was PW Insider or Fightful put out an update that he is apparently fine, so you love to see it. That could have been much, much worse. So very happy to see Ricky Starks did not get injured there. Starks did hit a big spear for a near fall. Ricky Starks has a beautiful spear. He did not get to hit Rochambeau, and Page ended up winning with a submission, which is something we have not really seen from Page. I don't know if I've ever seen him win via submission, so that was definitely more interesting to see. After the match, Taz got off commentary and did Taz things. I swear to God, Taz on the mic is one of the most entertaining people in wrestling. And he basically told Page that he just needs to, he was just shouting really, and he told him that he needs to watch his back. No, really, you gotta watch your back. And then Hook made his way into the ring and hit a chop block on him. He starts beating down Hangman. Ricky gets back in and fights him down, or beats him down. Brian Cage comes out and gets ready to powerbomb him, and then the Dark Order come out to make the save. And yeah, solid opening in the show. I got to hear Taz on commentary, and he got to cut a promo, so it was a good start to my night here. After the match, we saw footage of the Elite, the whole Elite, so Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, the Good Brothers, Don Callis, and Nakazawa all arriving and getting into the new Elite trailer. This felt very similar to Impact when Kenny first showed up there when he was on the bus with Don and the Good Brothers. This would obviously come back later. We got Penta versus Trent next, and as Penta was making his entrance with some newly updated music, as well as a Batman costume, not Batman costume, but Batman inspired gear tonight. We got a promo from him and Alex Abrahantes. Absolutely adore this pairing. I think it's great. I think Alex is perfect in this role. He's just like they ooze cockiness, and it works so perfectly. And basically they said that the best friends are going to regret that they've restarted their war with Death Triangle, and if Orange Cassidy gets in their way, he is going to turn into orange juice. So, pretty good. Solid enough match here. I mean, it's Penta and Trent, so you know what you're going to get. There was a big pile driver to Penta towards the end of the match. Eventually, Alex got involved as he got on the mic and told Trent that he sucks, his friends suck, but you know who sucks the most? Your mama. and Trent chases him into the ring. Orange Cassidy comes in to block Alex from getting away. Penta lays out Orange Cassidy, and then Alex bonks Trent with the mic, and Penta hits the package pile driver and wins. I really like Alex in this heel role with Penta. It makes sense now that Death Triangle have realigned to being heels. I was fine with them as like anti-hero baby faces, but they're more natural heels right now. And I'm very excited for this feud with them and Best Friends. Two extremely talented factions, teams, whatever you want to call them. And I think we're gonna get some good stuff here. Very interested to see if Alex is gonna get more physical as this goes on. I wouldn't be shocked if we get something where, like, because obviously he's the fourth person in Death Triangle, where Chris is the fourth person in Best Friends. Wouldn't be shocked if Chris gets to hit like her finisher on him or something. After this, we have a lengthy sit-down interview with Jim Ross and the Pinnacle. This was MJF's basically follow-up to Chris Jericho's, as they've dubbed it, the Immortal promo from Chris Jericho. And we get to see MJF having a new scarf from Tully Blanchard. He puts that on. We also get to hear Wardlow speak pretty, like, in-depth here, which was new, because Wardlow doesn't do that much talking. I thought he sounded pretty confident here, which is pretty good. He called Jericho out, saying how it was almost a perfect promo, but that Jericho stumbled his words when he started talking about Wardlow, and it was because that Chris Jericho knew he was doing something wrong. I'm assuming we'll eventually get a Wardlow-Jericho match, probably, and all I can say is I hope Wardlow wins that. MJF continues to put over Jericho. He notes that Jericho's right that MJF is a mark, but he's not a mark for Jericho. He's a mark for Jericho's spot, and he's here to take it. He says that Jericho's one of the best in the world, but when Jericho was 25, he was jerking the curtain on Worldwide, but comparatively, MJF is 25, and he's a top guy now. I thought this was really solid. MJF, you can't really do wrong on the mic. Guy's, like, certifiably one of the best talkers in wrestling. And I was just happy to hear Wardlow talk, because more Wardlow, yes please. The guy is so good, and just has dollar signs written all over him. After this, we got a brief little hype package for the Women's Championship match, which was coming up between Conti and Shida. Showed some training footage from both of them, specifically Ty doing like MMA fighting. So, nice. Then we got the match, obviously. They had like a show of respect beforehand where they both bowed to each other. That was cool. I thought this was really solid. These two had good chemistry. Very hard hitting. There was some big strikes here. There was a big, like, Shida was like laid out on the middle rope, and Ty hit like a jumping senton off the top turnbuckle to her. That looked good. And eventually, Shida got her back with this brutal-looking move onto the turnbuckle. I don't even know what to call it, but it looked awful to take, and Ty just like fell from the top turnbuckle to the floor. We got a DDT from Ty. That got us a near fall, but eventually Shida knocked her down with the katana, which I don't know if I haven't been paying attention, but this has to be like a new variation of her finisher. I thought this was very good looking. I like this significantly better than her like running knee strike that she had. Please, more katana. That it looks much better, and it just felt more like a solid finisher here. Really solid stuff here. I just want to say Conti has really impressed both me and I know Joey for the last couple months. She's put in the work. She's really improved in the ring, I think. And at least here, I thought she looked like a star in the making. And she definitely seems like somebody who is going to be a future like main event player in AEW. And I think this show did really good highlighting some young faces, like Ricky Starks in the opening match, Ty here, Darby and Jungle Boy in the main event, and Powerhouse Hobbs against Christian. So you'll love to see that. After the match, Britt Baker's music comes out. She comes onto the stage, and she has the rankings up on the board, and it officially transitions into saying that now that Conti has lost against Shida, Britt is number one. And so it officially seems that we are moving towards Britt Baker challenging Shida, most likely at Double or Nothing, and I would have to assume that is where Shida's run as AEW Women's Champion will come to an end. And that's perfectly fine with me. I think Shida could use some time off, get a bit of a refresh when she comes back, and Britt is more than deserving of this championship at this point. After this, we got a promo from Miro, and my God, if Joe was here, I know this man would be gushing about this. This is the Miro we've been begging for months. We absolutely despised the feud that Miro and Kip had with the Best Friends. We did like the Arcade Anarchy match. It was a solid conclusion, but the build up to it was just not worth it. And back-to-back weeks now, we've gotten killer promos from Miro just being the killer, the monster we all know he can be. He continues to call out Kip Sabian, saying he doesn't need him, and basically putting out a threat to Kenny and Darby, both champions. And he says his only question is what title is he going to go for first. I think it's very clear that we're going to be getting Miro versus Darby Allen at Double or Nothing for the TNT Championship. Spoiler alert. But if you're listening to this, I feel like you should have already known what the results were for Dynamite. We had a promo, or not a promo, interview in the ring. Tony Schiavone's there with the Inner Circle. All of them come out. This was not nearly as good as Jericho's promo the other week. He was all over the place here. We got him singing at one point. That wasn't very good. I wasn't really a fan of it. Jake Hager had a bunch of straws. And he said that the Inner Circle is going to need them to suck their own meat later. What? I have no words. Santana was great here. I love the Inner Circle together. I love Santana and Ortiz together. One day Santana is going to get a singles push, and I'm going to be so here for it. He really shined a star on himself bright the beginning of 2020 when they were doing his thing with Jon Moxley, the eye for an eye match, basically. And we got some really good promo stuff from Santana. So I'm looking forward to one day seeing a Santana solo push. This guy just looked so good out here. He just oozed drip. He had great mic work. He can go in the ring. Please give it to me sometime. Anytime. I mean, Proud and Powerful obviously deserve a lengthy run eventually as tag champs, but eventually I would like to see him get some solo time. What else do we have? They talked about just the violence and brutality of Blood and Guts. Put that over. And he said he is offering a parlay next week for the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle. And so yeah, that's what we're getting. Also worth noting, pretty early on in the show, Excalibur made the note that Blood and Guts in 2 weeks is going to be a one-match show. Blood and Guts is going to be the only match on that show. Very interesting strategy. I was assuming it was going to be Blood and Guts and maybe a title match for the TNT title or the women's title. So interesting that they're confident enough that they can keep the viewers for one whole match that's 2 hours. I'm excited. I'm very interested in this, and the talent level in the match definitely backs it up. So we'll see what we get. I'm hoping for something memorable here. We get a promo from QT Marshall in the factory. QT Marshall officially has donned a new look, basically doing his best Tony Soprano impersonation. The only thing missing here is a mention of Gabagool and the iconic Sopranos theme song. He comes out for his match, and he has the most generic rock song of all time. Last week we got Anthony Ogogo's debut. He had some pretty good theme music. Tony Khan has shown that he's willing to spend money on theme music for Orange Cassidy and Jungle Boy. AEW is on TNT. They're partners with Warner Media. Please, for the love of God, Tony, find a way. Drop the buck. Talk to whoever you need to. Get QT Marshall the theme song from The Sopranos. That would get this man over so hard. I'm already kind of invested in the factory. I just need him to get better theme music, and if they manage to get the Sopranos theme for him, or even something that just sounds like it, that would be so good. QT wants to go for the Tony Soprano. Commentary even noted they referred to him they compared him to Tony Soprano. So it's not just me. I'm not going crazy here. If Tony Khan can do this, I will be absolutely floored. I would go crazy anytime QT Marshall comes out. I would lose my mind. So please, whoever, if you're listening to this, tweet at Tony Khan. Let him know you want QT Marshall to have the Sopranos theme song. Because let's be honest, who doesn't? And if you haven't heard the Sopranos theme song, I don't know what you're doing. Just go to YouTube and look at the Sopranos theme. It is iconic. It's perfect. It would actually make for a really good wrestling entrance, to be honest. So I have no issue with it. Please, for the love of God, give me something better than what QT's theme is. We got QT Marshall versus Billy Gunn. As QT Marshall's making his entrance with the factory, Billy Gunn attacks him on the stage. Billy Gunn was in control for a lot of this match. The QT sold his ass off for it. So, sure. Eventually, Ogogo had to come out, hit a gut punch while the ref was distracted, and QT won. Not the biggest fan of QT having to, cheat the win here. I feel like, especially against Billy Gunn, if it was somebody else, then, sure. If it was, QT versus Lee Johnson, who's, a much younger guy who they're trying to get over, sure, him cheating to really lay it in there would be something, but it's goddamn Billy Gunn. It was kind of unnecessary. I mean, it makes Ogogo look good and powerful, so sure. After the match, Anthony Ogogo gets a wooden chair. This was interesting. This is a wooden lounge chair and gives it to QT. QT holds it up very dramatically before Dustin comes out with a bull rope. These two get into a brawl. Anthony Ogogo gets up on the ring for a distraction. Then Nick Camarado comes in. Dustin has the chair, and he smashes it over Nick Camarado's head for a great visual as the chair just explodes over his head, and Camarado just, growls and shakes it off completely and looks like a total monster before the refs come down to break it up. The post-match stuff definitely worked. It made... we're clearly heading for QT versus Dustin in a bull rope match, probably for, the Dynamite before or after Double or Nothing, or maybe Double or Nothing if they need another match. You also set up Dustin versus Ogogo here, and Dustin versus Nick Camarado. So I think they did a lot here. Nick Camarado looks like an absolute beast, and Anthony Ogogo, still need to see more of him in the wrestling ring. Obviously, he didn't really do much last week besides hitting a gut punch. But I'm interested. He has the look. He has the charisma. So I'm hoping he can do good wrestling things as well. After this, we go to live footage from the Elite's tour bus. They're all in there. Don Callis talks about how this is the greatest group of all time. Matt Jackson talks about how everybody in here is the spark of the revolution that is all Elite wrestling. Nick then pointed out that it's not all Moxley Kingston wrestling, and they obviously they said that Moxley and Kingston were making their return tonight, and they threatened them to come find them. All of a sudden, there's honking outside. Don also before this did reference that Omega is going to have the Impact World title next week. And earlier in the show, we did get a commercial for Rebellion, so this is the most effort AEW went to promoting Impact. So we'll see if next week Kenny Omega has the Impact World Championship. Anywho, they look out the window at the honking, and we see Moxley and Eddie Kingston in a pickup truck, and they slam into the side of the Elite's trailer. They both get out. They have a pipe. They go into the inner circle, or not the inner circle, the Elite's trailer. They smash the windows, and the Elite are completely gone. They question where they went, and Moxley says, "This was bitch AF," as they leave. I was kind of surprised we didn't get a explanation as to where the Elite went or how they got out of the trailer without them seeing, but sure, this kind of falls in line with Where is Shaq? Obviously, after Shaq's match with Jade, where those two faced off against Cody and Red Velvet, we saw him in an ambulance, and then he disappeared from said ambulance, and there's no word ever since. So I would like to know where the Elite went. This segment kind of fell flat for me, gonna be honest. I thought the stuff on the bus was pretty good. It makes the Elite feel really, really hateable in a good way. But then Moxley and Kingston showed up, and it was a good thing when they slammed the truck, but then, it was very awkward once they, went in, and then they weren't there, and then it was just them talking at the camera for a bit, and it was just kind of weird. So, kind of not the best segment. If I was going to criticize anything on the show, it'd be this and QT Marshall needing to cheat to win to beat Billy Gunn, for sure. After this, we got Christian Cage versus Powerhouse Hobbs. As expected, Powerhouse Hobbs dominated the vast majority of this match. Christian eventually was able to fight back with a drop kick. Eventually, he got a big top rope splash. We got Christian with a power bomb at one point as well. And Hobbs, obviously, commentary was putting over how Hobbs needs to keep his composure, not let his frustration get the best of him. Eventually, Christian got the kill switch out of nowhere and won. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't expecting Christian to win clean. I was expecting him to win. I was expecting there to maybe be shenanigans with Ricky Starks and what's his face, Ricky Starks and Cage or Hook, but no. So Christian Cage wasn't going to lose this. I think that's fairly clear to see, but I wasn't really expecting it to be this clean. But I don't think this hurts Will Hobbs to lose to Christian, and Christian's second match back. And he looked really good here. He looked like a dominating monster. We got a Jade Cargill video package where we saw all the different managers in AEW talking about how they want to recruit her. And she says that she doesn't need a manager, but if anybody wants her in their group, they're going to have to pay top dollar for her. So I'll be interested to see if they pair her with somebody. I don't really want her to. I think Jade's pretty solid on the mic. And I don't really know if we need her to have a manager. If we were going to do it, man, I really don't even know. I don't want to think about it. I don't need Jade paired with anybody. Our main event was Darby Allen versus Jungle Boy for the TNT Championship. Luchasaurus was with Jungle Boy. Sting was with Darby Allen. This is what you would expect from these two. This was very fast-paced from the get-go. Just all over the place. Big action everywhere. There was a very not safe-looking body scissor takedown, maybe? I don't even know what they were going for here. Jungle Boy went for what looked to be a Hurricane Rana. Commentary said it was a body scissors, but it just looked like he just murdered Darby Allen here. This is fairly early on in the match, too. This is very similar to the suplex that had Ricky Starks landing on his head. Did not look very fun to take. Darby Allen had a big coffin drop onto the apron. Not the most brutal-looking coffin drop, but it was still good enough. Jungle Boy, basically, that had him almost for a count-out. Luchasaurus kind of helps him up, and afterwards he makes it onto the stage. Him and Sting get into it. They fight to the back. We get a big lariat from Jungle Boy into a sliding elbow, and then he puts the snare trap on Darby. And we get Darby crawling for the rope break. We get another snare trap on Darby. Darby then has he breaks the eyes to force a break here. We get a Irish whip from Jungle Boy. Darby Allen reverses it, sunset flip, and then we get a really cool pin maneuver here where Darby Allen goes for the Last Supper and pins him with it. Pretty cool. I thought it was a solid finish. After the match, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page come down. They blindside Darby and Jungle Boy both. They beat them down. Lance Archer then comes down, and then Sting comes down. I don't really know what we're setting up here. Are we setting up for... We're setting up for a tag match, I would assume, with Page and Scorpio Sky. But are they facing Darby and Sting? Or are they facing Sting and Lance Archer? Maybe. That actually... I guess that makes sense. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page versus Archer and Sting. And then Darby Allen faces Miro, I guess, at Double or Nothing. That would be my guess. Especially if they're going to keep doing cinematic matches with Sting. I guess you could do a cinematic match there. And then I would assume Scorpio and Page win that. And then we get Archer versus Sting where they turn on each other. Okay, so that makes a little more sense now that I've talked it out. So, I thought this was a really solid show. The main event was really, really good. The beatdown afterwards left me confused a bit until just now talking about it. I thought, again, the show did really good in putting over and building up your young guys. Having the main event of Darby Allin and Jungle Boy, Powerhouse Hobbs getting a match with Christian, Ty Conti and Shida, really good stuff. And then obviously the opening with Ricky Starks. So I thought the show did really well at showing the younger talent within AEW. And I think that was definitely one of the stronger aspects of the show. Be very interested to see if this show does a really big number like they did last week. Obviously they're unopposed now, no NXT. But I think it's going to be interesting to see if they manage to continue that. Like, if we can get, if AEW does over 1 million again, I think that has to be looked at as an absolutely major success here. It would be shocking to me if they don't, because obviously last week they got 1.2 million, so I feel like 1 million is doable. And if they manage to do that, I think that's huge, that they can go back-to-back weeks with 1 million. I'm very interested to see what Blood and Guts does, especially now that we know that it's one match for the entire show. I feel like that's either going to do a huge number or it's going to be very disappointing because people might tune out. But if they deliver on Blood and Guts, that could be an absolutely huge thing for AEW. Next week, they did announce a card. We have Penta versus Orange Cassidy, Chris Statlander versus Penelope Ford, the Young Bucks versus Matt and Mike Sydal, and I believe we're doing, if the Sydal brothers win, they get a title shot against the Bucks. A 6-man tag match: Billy Gunn, Lee Johnson, and Dustin Rhodes versus QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, and Nick Camarado, and Hangman Page versus Brian Cage, as well as the Inner Circle parlay for the Blood and Guts match. So they're setting up next week to be another pretty big show, I would say. And again, I think it's going to be interesting to see how Dynamite's viewership holds up over the next couple weeks. And if they can see any growth, or if they kind of just stay the same, or if they start to fall. So yeah. Anyway, I'd give the show a thumbs up. Enjoyed it thoroughly. And again, the biggest strong suit of this episode was the young talent featured and how well all of them looked. So you'll love to see that. Reminder, tomorrow Ryan and Angelo will be back with Ryan and Angelo's Impact Power Hour with the review of Impact tomorrow, as well as our preview and predictions portion for Rebellion on Sunday. We'll have a review for Rebellion, as well as next week having our normal AEW show where me and Joey will be back, Impact, the Power Hour, and we'll probably have stuff for Wrestling Duntaku for New Japan coming up at the beginning of May. So keep your eyes peeled to the podcast feed. If you're new here, again, be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening to, whether it's YouTube, Apple, Stitcher, TuneIn, Anchor, Spotify, whatever. Helps us out. And follow us over on Twitter. And yeah, thanks for listening. Hope you have a lovely rest of the week if I'm not on another podcast. Hope you enjoy Impact if you're watching that. Enjoy Rebellion if you're watching the pay-per-view, or enjoy whatever wrestling or non-wrestling stuff you're watching for the rest of the week. So thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it, and I'll talk to you next time.